Awesome. And let me just go ahead and remind you of the rules of engagement for this. Ask questions if you have them. Sue will be going over the ones that we've collected ahead of time for those folks who have the discipline to provide us with the previous questions. If you didn't have the opportunity or chance to do that, we will try to grab your questions on the way by. Although there are a lot of people in this room, we may not be able to get all of them, but we will do our very, very best. Jimmy is obviously here as well, even though we were out up until 5 a.m. Doing all kinds of evilness.
Much evilness.
Oh, yes. Things that I did not know were possible and should not be on the search engine. It's always fun. Google Hacking 101. So we had a lot of fun. And one thing I would like to remind you guys is that these webinars are for you and you alone. Do not share them at all. Otherwise, we will find you. And no, just kidding. Did I just say that? No, I didn't. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. This is for your protection. I'm not kidding, but I am. And so somebody said, Linda Joseph, Russell, you did a great job in the RSS videos. I'm glad that was helpful. Just playing around, had some fun. And let's just wait just a couple more seconds. We have a few other people come in. Can you give me a 1 if you can hear Sue laughing? Give me a 1. You can see Sue laughing. Okay. Yep, all kinds of 1s coming up the screen. Great. All kinds of laughter happening. Double 1s, triple 1s, quadruple 1s, a few mwah-ha-ha-has spelled out meticulously. We've had all kinds of stuff going on here. Good. Okay, Jimmy, can we hear you on a sound check so that we can have...
Can you hear me?
Can everybody hear Jimmy Kelley?
Is it coming through okay?
Yep.
Moving the microphone closer?
That is a yes, they can hear you. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, you guys, so we're going to have to jump in. This is going to be our regular weekly discussion. And let's just jump right in. Where's the music? Oh, I can't do that because I'm in your guest bedroom and there's no speaker thing. Because when I play that music, yeah.
The whole room shakes, right?
That's right. You'll have to give me another 72-inch monitor for when I'm here. So what I do is I hold my headset. That's why the sound quality is so bad. I hold my headset up against the TV, and I play it on Boost.
All right, fine.
All right, that's all right. We'll skip it today. I bet you guys. Inserts theme Jimmy's theme song. Light 'em up here. Closed caption. All right, cool.
All right. Well, we could start with the first question. Mr. Kelley, after building a DAS, all pages have a page authority of 1. What do we do now?
Well, typically you want to wait, only because it's going to take time for Moz to update their system. One thing people need to know is, Moz is a third-party platform, and they typically only update every 30 days in best case scenario. So you need to just sit and wait and wouldn't focus on the metrics so much. Just continue to build through that process for your domain authority stacking, and just the metrics will come over time. And depending on the properties you pick, like you'll see the PA jump more if it's a site or something that Google or that Moz has already been aware of or have crawled before. Then typically you'll see a boost in PA a lot quicker, but it'll come over time. The more properties that Moz finds it. You can force the metrics if you want. If you have an account through Moz, you can upload all of those backlinks into a Moz campaign if you want. That'll force their crawl on it. But other than that, you just gotta kind of sit back and wait.
All right. So the next couple questions are about one-feed supercharger. The first one, when I create a feed, after submitting that feed to various platforms, will the created feed be updated when I post a new post on my blog? Yes. If so, will it appear inside the feed? Yes. It should appear. If you've got, I believe the current version that we have out right now, if you've got a braided feed, it will appear at the top if it's in the local blog, and the other feeds that are braided in are going to be clumped together. The new version that we're going to have coming out this week, everything will be sorted by date. So that gets a little bit more interesting. But it doesn't make any difference. It'll all get picked up regardless. The second question, when I insert that feed into Social Explosion, will Social Explosion automatically check if there's something new inside the feed and post to it? Yes, it checks about once every hour. Checks every feed about once every hour. The next question, could you please do a quick overview of the 5 iframe punch and give us an idea of the properties that can be used for this method? So the 5 iframe punch are actually some videos that are in both the director's cut and the project. Oh shoot, I've forgotten the name of the project. The new project members area. Project Breakthrough. There we go. And so I would suggest, rather than taking the time to give you an overview of it, I just suggest watching that video again because I think it's just one video. And as far as the properties, we've got Scoopit, Storify, YouTube, pretty much anything, if it's got reasonable domain authority, can be used. We highlighted probably 5 or 6 different properties in those videos just simply because they were the ones that we use. And they're quick and easy for our outsourcers to be able to get in and do what they need to do. And they've got some great domain authority so that when you stack those, it does some really interesting things for the inbound links to your sites. Ben, is Ben on? Let me just see if Ben's here. Because I feel like there might be a question behind the question that we're not actually. Yeah, Ben's here. So does that answer your question? Or I'm thinking that maybe there's really a question behind your question that I'm not quite understanding. I might just look at the next question while I give you a moment to type something in. Let's make this so that it wraps. There we go. So Ben says, Fletch mentioned that there may be a reduced price off the cost to the public. I don't know anything about the pricing structure. My apologies. Are you not in either? Are you talking about Project B, or are you talking about the director's cut? Jazz, you're in Project B. Well, if you're in Project B, you should have all the training that was in director's cut. You should have all of our videos that were in director's cut. That was my understanding anyway. If you can't find them, let me know. I haven't put my nose inside of Project B yet, so I'm not sure. Yeah, no. So everybody that's here have been with us for the last, 10 weeks or so, have all been director's cuts. But this week was the first week that is a combined webinar of Project B and director's cut. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh. Got it. You know what? Jimmy, why don't you take the next question? Let me just ping Ben and answer privately here for a second. Oh, that's a good question. This is where we were at. Try Michael's question.
All right, so he says, will TLKT, stands for the last keyword tool, work with foreign language search terms, in my case German? And yes, I do believe it will. I think you can select, every time you go to queue a project, you can select the language that you're doing your drills in for those specific keywords. Linda asks, last week you went over Network Empire Builder. That was very helpful, by the way. however, still a bit confused. Is that the same software as Everything is Connected Empire Pro bundle? I think in the Pro bundle, I think that is included in there. I think you get some access to some other stuff too. But you get it all at like a discount. It's like, you know, a bundle type price. Greg talks of using Video Kraken in the new over-the-shoulder series. I've used vSilo, but believe vKraken is something else. You want to answer this one, Russ? Difference between vSilo and vKraken?
Yeah, I keep hearing about this over-the-shoulder video. I haven't seen Greg's thing yet, so I can only presume that he's talking about. Let me just look and see what Video Kraken in the new. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that series. I keep hearing that Video Kraken was discussed in the over-the-shoulder. Since I don't know exactly what was said, I'm sure that Greg lays it out pretty clearly for you. vSilo is our original SEO silo plugin that's really focused on creating a proper silo structure, either as a manual keyword one-off or importing any silo builder, which again is DWS, also aka DWS, and or using Kraken, which is our software as a service. It's a research tool. Now, Video Kraken is a different plugin that really should not be thought of as a money site plugin. In other words, generally speaking, the Network Empire team doesn't teach using Video Kraken on money sites. Now, people are, you know, going to do things that way that they decide to do it, and there might be purposes. For example, our team, there's a lot of different SEOs on our team, and some of us are experimenting with different things, and we don't always get our heads together. But generally speaking, Video Kraken is a very dangerous plugin without some training. So we have a lot of training on Video Kraken because you can burn your hosting company down in about 24 hours if you're not careful. You can publish thousands upon thousands of videos. So Video Kraken is, for lack of a better word, and you got to be careful with this, is a auto-blogging software that generally gives Google what it needs in terms of YouTube videos. But you do have to have some training and on how to use it properly, and you have to know where in your network to use it. So hopefully that answers your general question. It's a very different tool. You know, it's available for purchase at videokraken.com in the old version. We do recommend that everybody wait for a while until we release the one that Mike Hayden and Sue have just finished updating today. It actually silos and publishes videos, and also we put some safety guards in there. Sue programmed a little box in there that'll prevent you from blowing up your hosting company. Yeah, so it'll, you know, you can have a daily maximum. You don't want to publish more than 1 to 5 videos per day, probably more like 1 if you're on a shared hosting account with that. And yeah, so that's basically how that works. And, you know, to give you an idea of how serious it is, I've got a $3,000 certification level course just on how to handle that plugin called automaticvideotraffic.com, and we are very cautious in having people really uncork the full power of Video Kraken without formal training. So I just do want each and every one of you to know that I'm not suggesting that you buy that course. In fact, I'm just saying that if you use it, please be very careful, knowing that you probably have not had the training. And you know, listen very carefully to Jimmy and Greg and Sue about these things, and I'm sure that whatever they're saying is fine. And if you have any doubts whatsoever, just, you know, go directly onto the Facebook forum and ask, or go try to ask us on these, you know, in these events. And if you have a specific question about how not to hurt yourself, don't hesitate to ask them here, and we will try to provide you with insight and answer.
Sheila asked, does TLKT provide country-specific searches? Yes, it does. All of whatever country or a locale even, because within a country you might have multiple languages. So whatever locale it is that you've selected, all of the information that's returned is specific for that locale. So the competing pages, the paid cost, the paid traffic, the searches, everything. You know, I'm thinking that Jazz is asking a question about something that Jimmy talked about while I was doing something else. Are you familiar with that, Jimmy, google.com/tag manager?
Yeah, I've already answered her and told
Okay,
her we
cool.
didn't want to talk about it here.
Okay, cool.
The answer to that question is that, yes, we do know about Google's new tag manager system. I have a test running, partially incomplete, but definitely don't want to get into it with folks here. Of course, now everybody will be rushing over trying to figure out what it is, and that's okay. Just don't install that code on your site until I get with Jimmy and Sue and make sure that it doesn't blow all y'all up.
Okay.
Because it's just Google in general, and it's supposed to help you tag your articles, but until we figure out how to properly manipulate it rather than being manipulated, just keep away from it until I can get Jimmy to look at it and Sue to look at it, okay? Could be good, could be bad, done improperly. Okay.
All right. Is the same software as Everything is Connected / Network Empire Pro? All right. Last week we went over Network Empire Builder, which was very helpful. Bit confused. Is that the same software as what's in the Network Empire Pro bundle? Yes, that software is contained in that bundle. Next question. Greg talks of using Video Kraken with the new over-the-shoulder video. You guys answered this question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Where are we at? All right. Using RSS Submit, my virtual assistant says she began submitting feeds through it on Saturday, and it's only one half done.
Okay, we don't do support for RSS Submit. It's a third-party application, but I can just tell you my general thing is that means that you probably have a whole hell of a lot of feeds you're trying to stuff through there. So you got to qualify it. If you're trying to stuff 50 feeds, it's going to take a minute. And check your connection. Also, you bring in a lot of elements here like VA. Is she using a proxy? Is she going through a firewall? Again, we don't do support for RSS Submit. It's not our software. It's just one we suggested that you could use.
Yeah.
But check all those things. Usually that's a sign of, go ahead, Sue.
Well, I will say that it takes about 20 minutes to run one feed.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing that I run on. I tend to not use my primary computer for it, and I'll just kick it off and let it do its thing, or I'll kick it off and go to lunch or something along those lines. It's not that it drags your computer down that much, but
it could take all, they're not telling us how many feeds there's through there. If you're waiting, if you're following our instructions and copying a list of feeds, and especially if you're doing like a full content broadcasting network, sometimes I have 50 feeds. That sucker can run for a while. Like, you don't expect it to be done in 5 minutes. You're submitting it to like thousands
of directories. Places. Yeah.
Not 1,000, but 1,000 times. You've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. All right. Fun, informative. I'm sorry, we don't have music, so it's not so much fun this week. Back on Rewatch Bits. Girlfriend wants to get her Facebook page running for a keyword in my city, and the term doesn't look too competitive. However, the URL is already set up, so I don't think it would be possible to change the URL to have the keyword in it. That's not a big deal. Also not sure. What's that?
You should stop trying to rank Facebook pages according to the last updates that I read.
I'm not sure if they would want to change the title to have the keyword in it because it might look weird next to the brand name. There's already a Facebook page ranking on the first page with the keyword and the title and the URL. Would it still be possible to rank Facebook without the keyword in the title and the URL? That's getting a little bit more dubious if it's not in the title either. And overtake the Facebook page that's already ranking. Put a sticky post at the top with exact match and then move on the usual backlinking campaign. Could that work? Or would it be necessary to have the keyword in the title anchor text for the Facebook page? Could work, sure. Might work. I'd have to have more information, to really understand that. I'd need to know what kind of page authority are you looking at, the one that's already ranked. And I'll tell you my own personal opinion on that. I can appreciate, that a lot of people have got stuff tied up in Facebook. But it's kind of like what Russ just said. I don't believe in putting a lot of time and effort into third-party platforms that I don't own.
They got a damn website.
Exactly. So what I would be inclined to do is buy your own domain and work mostly on that. And then I rank Facebook stuff as a secondary, like it happens just because it happens, not because I'm actually trying to rank a third-party platform. All right, soapbox off. Sorry. Okay, next question.
Tell her to get her own soapbox.
You mean her own domain?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Is trust flow the most important part of the semantic web? Oh my goodness gracious. You know, if you were going to talk to any of the people who are actually working on the semantic web, they would say that trust flow doesn't have anything to do with it. So it's a perspective. But you have to do that.
You got to do that in a British accent because Kevin's.
So it's a perspective. Like SEOs, when SEOs look at the world, they have an in particularly interesting color sunglasses on, right? Like, and so
got a link building mindset.
Yeah.
Link building. Link.
And
so guys don't have a link building mindset. In fact, they have a link building blind spot.
They're trying to organize the world's data, much like Google, but with a different purpose in mind. So, you know, they're trying to create a web that machines can parse. Like that's what they're after. And it just so happens that in order to be able to create a web that machines can understand, you have to identify elements. There was an article that we just read on that, actually, that it was really interesting because it talked about a fact, right, about how the semantic web identifies a fact. But they didn't specify what a fact actually is or how a fact is verified.
It's whatever Russell Wright says it is.
Pretty much. Yeah. All right. Next question.
That's the facts, ma'am.
Oh, that was a fax.
It's whatever Jimmy Kelley says it is. This is the SEO fact of the week.
So I don't know. That might have been like a bit cryptic, but I would have to say that no, trust flow is not the most important part of the semantic web. The ability for machines to be able to intuit information is the most important part of the semantic web.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact, and I just verified it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and put that in Freebase right now. Fact ID code 143261.
So long as I got the ID code, that's all I need.
Block Kevin Polly's IP address.
Right? So that he can't come in and change it later. All right, so Jay asks, I'm new at putting together my first site. Does DWS Silo Builder and vSilo Builder plugins work easily with the Director's Cut skin? Yes, and if it doesn't, we'll get Mike out here and make him fix it. No, it does, actually. It works very nicely with him.
Why the heck is he not on this call?
Because it's 3 o'clock in the morning his time? Is there anything in particular that we need to know? No, I don't think so. I think they all work pretty seamlessly together. Thank you so much for your generous information. For the first time, I feel entirely in control of my financial future. That's awesome, Paula.
Well, tell me how you're doing that.
Right? Achieve every one of my financial goals. That's excellent. Aw, thank you so much. Appreciate it, Paula.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
On last Wednesday's webinar, there was an email option for a PBN. That wasn't our webinar. That Wednesday's webinar is Cotton. And Cotton has a place where you can put questions into. So check out with him. I've got no control nor information. Sorry.
We cannot be held responsible for anything Cotton says.
And we verified that fact on the semantic web.
We love Cotton. We just weren't there, so we don't know.
Well, we were there, but I didn't follow up. There's no...
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were there.
We were both there. Yes.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited. So
no, we specifically uninvited. Is there any reason to separate accounts for RSS dissemination? Separate what accounts? Or is it okay to use a company account for all projects other than Google's FeedBurner and Yahoo Pipes.
Nobody knows what you mean. You got to clarify account. There's
Yeah, Paula, are you on?
Be more specific. Google Dashboard, is that what you mean? Or she probably means Google Dashboard. They almost always end up using
Paula. Yeah, Paula's here. So please clarify which accounts you're talking about.
Need input.
Yeah, accounts per topic I understand, but is it like, are you talking about like all the different places where you can disseminate your RSS feed to? Accounts per topic or by company?
Still doesn't mean anything, Paula. What account? What's an account?
Okay, all right. So she's talking about all the places where you can put in your RSS feed. You know,
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay.
yeah. So if you're talking about like search engines and RSS directories and those kinds of places, you wouldn't need different accounts. If you're talking about third-party platforms where you can put in an RSS feed and it will generate content, like it'll take that RSS feed and do stuff with it, like, for instance, Facebook, then I would want probably a separate account for each one of those. I don't know that I would braid multiple feeds into any one particular account. I suppose you could, if it were like a persona, I suppose you could. Just know that that's got the potential to, like, if you do that a lot, it's got the potential to lead all your roads back to a single thing, right? So like let's say for instance you're into e-cigs and you go out and you've got an affiliate association with 5 different e-cig companies. So you go out and you create 5 different e-cig money sites, and each one of those money sites has got a persona. Each one of those sites has got a blog, and so you're blogging on that, and you grab all 5 of those feeds, and you throw them into one Facebook account. I don't know how those affiliates would feel about all of them being in one Facebook account, but you could do that, and each one of those lead back to a money site, an affiliate money site, so that's not a big deal. But let's say that you've got one affiliate site for an e-cig product, and then you've got 5 different PBNs that you're using to manipulate PageRank, and all 5 of those blogs have a feed. You grab all 5 of those feeds and you throw them into one Facebook account. Now you have tied those 5 blogs together into one account. Now if you do it once, it's not going to leave a footprint, but if you make a habit of that and Google starts to sniff out a network, they could look at that and have additional ammo for saying that it's a network. Or your competitors could track it back and say, you know, this is clearly a network, and point it out to Google, and action would be taken across the network. So I would just be cautious about what it is that you're trying to do and how it is that you do it. But if you're talking about like sending it out to a directory, an RSS directory, that's not going to make any difference. I don't see why. Most of the directories I've looked at, you don't see an account associated with a feed, so it's not such a big deal.
Looks like Paula.
If you're talking about RSS submit, that should be fine, because I don't think for most of those you don't even have to. There's 2 different aspects to RSS submit. One is just that you put in the feeds, and it just runs and does its thing. And for those, I don't even have a username and password for it, so it doesn't like make an account. There's a whole other set where you go in and do the CAPTCHA boogie, and each, like their premium RSS directories and search engines, and you will get like they're better quality, so it's nice, but it's also a pain in the behind to submit, and those you might want to think about separate accounts on because they are much more high profile.
It may be, I don't know Sue's position on this now, but for a while there, when there were a lot more RSS directories and they were a lot more stable, there were some arguments for theming. You know, for example, you can set up a profile in RSS submit. What I do is I have a profile that represents a market or industry, And it can be pretty vertical, like it doesn't have to be micro niche, these types of things. So it's kind of nice because if you have, let's say you have one profile set up and it's representing everything in the e-sig biz, or, depending upon what you're actually trying to accomplish, like Sue was expressing. But it's nice, you can set up unique profiles per market or niche, and there might be some advantages. Again, I'm being very, vague here, because there definitely were some advantages early on, but it's also helpful for your own organization. If you have multiple clients, it's a pretty good idea to set up a unique profile for each one of them in RSS Submit. And I just tend to do that by industry overall. Does that make sense, Paula?
Cool.
Okay, yeah, it is a little bit more of a hassle to create a unique profile, but that's okay. It takes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes or something, and then keep them separate. That way, the other thing you want to be really careful of in RSS Submit is you don't want to ping spam. Remove the feed. Actually, Sue, you might want to correct me on this, but just remove the feed. Like, don't be constantly submitting it. It's set and forget, so don't submit it like 20 times to the directory. You don't
Yeah.
need to do that.
Yeah, you run the risk of actually getting it banned if you do that.
Yeah, people don't know that you have to remove it. I don't know what it is. It's not obvious. Just once I have a giant list for an entire network, which makes about 20 or 30 RSS feeds, especially social and the rest, once I submit, I'll keep that list elsewhere, but remove it from RSS Submit. Don't keep it in there and keep. I had one person, they were collecting all the RSS feeds in the universe that they'd ever submitted in RSS Submit, and then each time they would run it, they would resubmit the older ones. Don't do that. No. Remove them. Okay.
All right. So using DAS, a new YouTube page of mine was ranking for 2 terms, around 25 SERPs. Yesterday it didn't show up for one of the terms. I don't think I did any optimization recently. Is that normal? Is the video being penalized? Do you want to take that one, Jimmy?
Sure. So I don't know what DAS, I don't know the concept map that they use, but typically with videos you're going to get a lot more leverage when you're doing embeds using videos to rank as opposed to linking directly, if that makes sense for people. But even when you apply links, it's common to watch them kind of bounce around. So I typically don't panic over anything that drops initially. I usually wait a couple of weeks and see where it comes back. I usually just, if I'm building links to it, I just continue to do so, and typically it'll bounce back over the 2-week time frame, and then it'll be a little bit more stable when you add more links to it in the future. But for videos specifically, I'd focus more on concept maps you can use that will include more embeds than direct linking.
Okay. So the next question from Paula. When you've already set up your one-feed supercharger for your blog, and then you add additional external feeds, and select 0 posts from your blog, is your site broadcasting all those feeds you set up, or just creating them for you to drop in other places? Let's do, I don't know, maybe it's just the lack of sleep, but I need a visual. I need a visual. All right, so you have in your blog, you set up so that you're going to have 10 posts from your blog. Let's just do this way. Just show you guys what she's talking about if you're not familiar with one-feed supercharger, since I know we got some new guys in the group. So one-feed supercharger, when you, should have just gone to there. When you say add new, you've got this part here that sets up for your basic feed. So if I start off and I put in 10 posts here and I create a feed and I publish it, and then is your site still broadcasting all those feeds you set up? Okay, then in addition, then additional feeds, you set the post to 0 for the feed. Is your site broadcasting all those feeds you set up, Or just, okay, so let's say that I set up this one, and we just call this feed 1, right? Boom, Bob's your uncle, publish. And then I add another one, and we call it feed 2. And we use something else down here like network empire.com/feed. And, whoops, that should go here. And I set this post to 10, but I've got this one set to 0. So this is just going to pull these posts from here, right? And I hit that. Please enter a URL. All right, fine. www. Maybe 3 dubs might help. Publish that. Oh, isn't that nice? That must be a new change. Because I used to be able to like not do that way. Try that. All right, so that published. Phew. So then I come here to all my feeds. You'll see I've got feed 1 and feed 2, and each one of these are going to have a different URL, right? So this is, you can see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, one feed equals 11573, and this one is 11574. So back at the question, is your site still broadcasting all those feeds you set up? Yes, it broadcasts all those feeds I set up, or just creating them for you to drop in other places. So it's not actually going to broadcast. So WordPress has got it set up so that it will automatically, that's a really good question. I don't know if they wrote that into this, but my gut hunch is no. So WordPress has it set up so that /feed will actually do some broadcasting for you. But when you put in the feed through here, we're intending that you need to go broadcast those feeds. So if you want to do just a basic broadcasting for a feed, you grab that RSS, you throw it into feedburner.google.com, and if you do nothing else, that'll get the feed out there a little bit, right? Because that's a feed syndication utility. And then all of the other places that you could go and put it. So to answer your question, it doesn't actually broadcast them all, but the feed is always there. So in other words, whenever something hits that URL, it's always going to find content in that URL, right? So let me know if that answered your question or if there's more to that, Paula. The next part, it sounds like, can you submit directly? Can you submit redirects as RSS feeds if the underlying code validates, or will these services strip away the redirect in a way I cannot see? Can you submit redirects as an RSS feed? My gut hunch is no. So like if you have, well, okay, so let me ask you. So if you have like a URL that's going to do like a 301 redirect over to someplace else, can you take that URL and create a feed out of it? Yes, you can. And if that's what you mean, then yes, you can. All right. Okay, good. Both of those seem clear. What is the recommended length of a feed title? Write it as a pane finder with main 2 to 3 keywords. You can make the feed title as long as you want. It should describe the feed, and it should contain a keyword or 2. But it can definitely be longer than 2 or 3 keywords. Think of it like if you're going to publish your feed into directories and services where other people might find them, then you want to make it engaging enough that they're going to want to pick it up and not just like keyword spam. All right, next question. The only way to build power, page authority, is through do follows. No follow link doesn't pass page authority. True or false? I'll let you answer that one, Jimmy. I'll stick you on the hot seat. Are you there? You didn't just walk away, did you?
Crickets.
Right?
Crickets.
Clearly he doesn't want to answer this question.
I think he's maybe taking a bathroom break.
All right. So, a no-follow link passes a surprising amount of link juice. And I mean, it's in fact my hesitation is actually the way that you answered the way that you asked the question.
It's a leading question.
Yeah, I know what you're actually trying to get at, and
Yeah.
the answer is no follow links will do just fine for what it is that you want to do. They just don't pass as much as a do follow link does. For the foreseeable future, it's okay to point GSA at my tier 3 properties. For the foreseeable future. Well, I see an extremely long way into the future where that's not a good idea. Jimmy's view of the future is possibly, I mean, it's, okay, so here is what I would do.
Define foreseeable.
Right? 5 billion years. Here is what I would probably do if I were going to use GSA. I'm much more conservative than Jimmy is. So, so what I would do is I would set it up so that I could easily disavow the things that I had pointed GSA toward, right? So like track it or monitor it or whatever. And if there comes a point then when you need to dump it, it's not hugely painful to do. Jazz like that one. Okay. It's one feed supercharger, the new Yahoo pipe. Yeah, that was why actually we created it, because Yahoo pipe you got to jump through a few hoops to do. I wanted it to be easier to use, so I wanted to take the most valuable aspects of it and make it pretty painless. All right. Ben asks, in the new 2015 over-the-shoulder series in OMG, Greg is setting up Social Explosion and vCracken on a subdomain of a money site. After watching the replay of what we did a couple weeks ago, it sounds like Russell thinks this is not a good idea, at least for beginners. I don't want to cause any controversy. Yeah, me neither, but cats, bags.
Meow.
I'm about to set up a new site and was planning on following the roadmap provided in 2015 over the shoulder, including PBN reloaded method. It would be great if the experts at OMG and Network Empire could discuss this and give us some guidance on which parts of the 2015 over-the-shoulder are risky for beginners. It should not be attempted by those of us who have not had the Network Empire advanced level training. So here's my take on that. I don't put vCracken on a money site anywhere, except under extenuating circumstances. So like, there's an option in vCracken where you can specify a channel, and that was one of the reasons that we put that in there, so that if, like, let's say that you're doing a site for dentist's office, and he's got a bunch of videos, and you want to be able to promo his videos. You don't want to like have to worry about going in and setting up a new page every time he puts out a new video. Well, you can specify his channel, and you can set it up with, you know, the broad brushstroke keywords that he uses, and it'll automatically create just his videos on those pages, and that works out really great. You can do that either directly on the money site or on a subdomain, so that works fine.
That's pretty nice.
But in terms of actually setting up Social Explosion and vCracken with the idea of building domain authority on the site, I don't do that on a money site.
Yeah, the problem with people even using it in the method that we just described is invariably they mess something up and then they publish 10,000 videos instead of the channel, and we don't want to be liable for you guys messing yourself up. We created a weapon, and the weapon was designed to be used in a particular kind of battlefield. It was not designed to be used as a home defense piece.
What?
To nuke an entire concept.
I have a nuke in my basement. What?
You're the exception, not the rule. By the way, I was going to ask you about that thing. What is that?
It keeps you warm, doesn't it?
While I'm here, why is there real clicks and whirls in the middle of the night coming from your basement? No, I'm just kidding. Not really, though. So you guys I'm asking you to see things. I'm asking you guys to see things from our perspective. We create tools for ourselves that we use in the field, and we've been asked to try to, put a nuclear device, inside of a car, for you guys to power a car.
The new Prius.
Yeah, Prius. The video Kraken. Oh, I can hear that coming from the living room.
Right.
Anyway.
Somebody found the scenario.
So what I'm really trying to share with you guys is we have done our best, Ben and everybody, to make things safe for you. The video Kraken thing kind of got out of the bag. It's one of those things, one of those genies that you can't put back in the bottle. And everybody decided they liked this genie. And then people started creating courses about this genie, which we try to give advice. I mean, Greg Morrison has been trained on these things. Cotton does his own things. And my bottom line is that, sign here on the dotted line, we are not liable for anything that any servers you destroy or any hosting companies that you wreck their boxes. But just the general advice is we just have to say, don't use this on the money site. And what you might have learned elsewhere, what can I say? We're not here to work against those things. We try to work with the rest of the team. And it's okay for people to experiment. I think that all of us on the team, Cotton, Greg, everybody, we should just say, use this stuff at your own risk. The general Network Empire team, specifically Sue and Jimmy, are saying, the general practices, don't use these ever on your money site, okay? Give me a 1 if everybody is willing everybody's giving me that disclaimer. Understood disclaimer equals 1. You guys understand that you're responsible. Our general thing is, don't use that. Just give me that 1 to make sure.
I would figure, too, I think it's important for people to experiment, with anything, but don't experiment on something you actually care about.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. That's the main thing is probably we need an educational course at some point on how to sandbox. You know how they in the desert where when they detonated the first tactical nuke. They were apparently 23 miles away when that thing went off, and even then they discovered a couple people lost some of their vision, and
they invented body parts.
They invented new glasses, and people were getting toxic glass poisoning from the fallout, and even though they were 30 miles away in this first detonation. So you got to sandbox. You've got to create. We haven't really taught you guys how to do that, and honestly, many people are not super hardcore IT. You're just trying to get your local website ranked so that you can make a buck or two. I mean, don't blow your shit up. Just don't. Create testing grounds to do that, and we haven't taught you how to do that. So the answer right now is just keep those things off your money site unless you're willing to sign a disclaimer, and don't blame anybody who teaches you how to do that if you've agreed to the disclaimer. Okay, cool. Next question.
All right. So this is a multifaceted question. The background is Paula was posting articles on a main website and then unpublished all the articles on the main website and installed a separate blog in a single product subdirectory. She added a page, got some backlinks, pulled all the unpublished articles in unpublished status from their old location on the main site, waiting for them to drop out of the Google index. Now, rethinking the subdirectory location after listening to everything that we've talked about. Want to move it to a subdomain. I want to move it to a subdomain instead and use the simple silo plugin when it's released. I can redirect the location in the HTTP access. Okay. I'm essentially trying to set up a web property for future production. Oh, here it was on a subdirectory, and here you moved it onto a subdomain. Got it. I'm essentially trying to set up a web property for future production editions to preserve the highest ranking potential, even if the short term is PETA. Is this additional blog location change going to cause any long-term problems that I'm not aware of? I also want to change the main site to a www. Okay, so that's kind of a different question. So is the additional blog location change going to cause any long-term problems? No. No. So I'm going to make the assumption that what you had here in the subdirectory, you didn't have any inbound links to, so you didn't actually do a 301 from the subdirectory over to the subdomain. So you're just going to have the 301 from the redirect this location. Oh no, you're going to have the 301 from the subdirectory to the subdomain. All right. So it's just 301. So that's going to be cool. If you're going to start daisy chaining 301s, I'd say maybe think about that again. But just so long as it's 301, you're fine. So no, that's not going to cause any additional problems. Want to change the site to a www. So this is an easy enough thing to do. Yeah, you can just do the redirect in either cPanel or .htaccess. So that can either be directly in Apache that you do the redirect, or you can do it in the .htaccess, which is just Apache add-ons, right? So either one of those is fine. If you've already got inbound links to your www or to the main site that's not www, then you might want to 301 those. Because like what you would do, let me just think about this for a second. Typically what you do in Apache, which is what you would be doing in cPanel, is you're not doing a 301 redirect. It's just saying when something comes in for this domain, send it here to this folder. And so it picks up the www that way. Let me just think about that for a second. Maybe that does end up being a 301 redirect. It's an alias, and no, I think typically it's an alias in Apache in the Apache config file, so you don't actually get the 301. So if you've got inbound links, I would do the 301 in .htaccess as opposed to doing the alias in Apache.
And Paula, those were not basic questions, by the way, so good job.
All right. Link Juice Keeper. Link Juice Keeper is
Link Juice Keeper.
The way that Link Juice Keeper helps, what Link Juice Keeper does is if you get a 404 on your site, it will redirect it to like your home page. Right. So that's typically used when you delete pages and you don't want to go in and do a redirect for each page that you've deleted. Or what tends to happen in the OMG community is that they buy pre-existing domains and you want to keep the link. That was, I think, the original impetus behind the plugin, right, was that you wanted to keep the inbound link juice from pre-existing links, but you don't want to necessarily go out and recreate all the pages that were on the original site. So, oh, you deleted over 100 posts. Oh, I see.
Just wants to redirect those.
Yeah, I would do Link Juice Keeper then. Yeah, absolutely. That would work. All right. What is the consequence of redirecting a 302 link through a 301 high DA link? So let me see if I got this right. Hang on a second.
Why would you want to really, I mean...
Where's my list?
Because the 302 is...
So, yeah, so if you've got www.myoldlink.com, and you're taking that and you're doing a 302 redirect, right? And then that's going to go to another page, which is my intermediate. I'm going to let you answer this, Mr. Kelley. My intermediate site.com. And then that's going to redirect 301 redirect I can actually spell, I just can't type, okay?
Okay, what are we asking?
Redirect to, can you see my screen?
Yes.
To my new site, .com, all right? If I understand the question, yeah, I think this is a Paula question again. She's asking, does any of the link juice pass to the ultimate target if it's not more than the 4th tier? So you're doing this, you're doing a 302 to another site, and from there you're doing a 301 to another site.
Well, so with link juice, so any kind of redirect that you're doing, you're losing between 10 and 15% of your total link juice. So with every jump, you're going to lose 10 to 15% of your link juice for every 301 you do. We also know that Google will only guarantee a crawling up to 5 links deep. Beyond that, it's
the first one's a 302.
They may or may not. So, you know, if you start going multiple redirects down, you know, you've already killed. So let's say we did 2 redirects. We've already lost 30% of that power from doing the redirect. So the more you add, basically, you know, if you're getting to a point where it's almost going to pass nothing at some point.
Isn't a 302 redirect going to nix everything anyway, just right up front?
Yeah, so a 302 is different because it's not going to pass your juice. That's considered a temporary redirect. So much how we have follow and no follow links, you can think of the same kind of concept with 301s and 302s. So a 302 is designed to move the traffic and get the index going to the new page, but Google will not pass the juice and all the ranking benefits typically with a 302. And even if they do, it's temporary. It's not going to last very long. In some cases, I have seen 302s where it does replace the SERP result, but in the majority of cases, I would say they actually do not. So a 301 is the best route to go when you're trying to replace rankings and juice in that scenario.
Right.
So just think of a 302 as no follow, like a no follow link, if you consider it that way. Was that the question?
Yeah, I'm just looking at a follow-up question over in the question box. If the 301 is high DA, can it juice up a 302? You can juice up the 302, but as soon as it hits the 302 and redirects to the other site, you're going to lose everything. So like if you have a 302 in the middle of that, it's just going to nullify what it is you're trying to do.
That is correct.
All right, so Leo asks, does it help more when you use spun bookmarks on social sites, or does it matter too much? My gut hunch is it's not going to matter too much because you're talking about social sites, and like typically when you bookmark something, you're using like some kind of a bookmarklet function anyway. And so you're just going to hit the bookmarklet. I mean, anybody would, right? So it's all going to come with the title of the article anyway. So I would, I'll qualify that with it depends on how excessive you're going to be with it. If it's going to go past a point, then yeah, you're going to want to spin it or something. Joined DC about 3 weeks ago. Made it all the way through the NE material a couple times. Excellent. Grand Mall Fireworks is awesome. Questions probably for Jimmy. In a shopping cart URL. Oh, your favorite topic, Mr. Kelley. In a shopping cart where a page can be served up many different ways, there are modifiers used. For example, reference modifiers and IE modifiers and show viewpoint modifiers and all kinds of garbage that you can stick onto the end of your URL. Prefix to these is otherwise the same URL string. Exactly. So the question is, Can all of these unique URL strings be used as separate URLs for SEO purposes, since the information displayed is different for each? Yeah. Let's just talk about what that does for a second. So, like, let's say you got www.my ecomsite.com / Sue's shoes.html, right? So that's one URL. And you got exactly the same URL, but with other stuff added onto it, like that, and then like that, and just all kinds of different variations in a URL string, right? So the horrible thing with most e-commerce sites is that this is actually considered dupe content, because the content for each one of those URLs, the URL is seen as different in Google's site, and yet the content is seen as identical. So there's a tag called canonical. And if you say that the canonical URL actually equals your original URL string, if you've got that in there, then yes, you can do all of these things. You can send inbound links to all of the different various things, and it will all be fine and right with the world. If you don't have that, and usually it's some kind of a stupid SEO add-on to most e-commerce platforms, if you don't have that, then
Oh, did I say? Oh, I thought I was muted. Sorry.
if you don't have that, then your site will probably not ever rank for anything.
What?
All right, next question.
I love Magento.
It's not just Magento.
I know, but I pick on them because it took so much of your time.
All right. Is there any advantage to having WAM since we're being tracked at the hosting level? Tracked at the hosting level. Tracked at the hosting level. Well, I mean, it's just like, you know, when you do a who is, it shows up all kinds of really interesting information. You guys know about who is, right? I'll just pick on somebody that I picked on before. Who is mine? Dang it.
Who is you?
Why didn't it come back with anything? There we go. So when you come in here, it gives you all kinds of really interesting information. And I'm not trying to obfuscate anything with this particular domain. I don't care if you know what it is and who I am and all of that kind of good rot. So you can see everything. So obviously you can have some of your information obfuscated, but there's always going to be telltale signs of who the hosting company is and who the registrar is in particular. So back to your question. Oh, Jazz, she cracks me.
Just saying. You opened yourself right up. Only one answer for that around here.
So no, WAM is like if you've got multiple domains hosted on the same hosting company, it's not going to make any difference whether it's in a single reseller account or not. They're just going to look at the registrar, or they're just going to look at the hosting company and the registrar and go, hey, wow, there's footprints. With that, change the email to contact at my site, but it didn't take right away in the statement of authority record, although it did eventually change. How long does it usually take for them to change? Oh, you know, that just is so dependent. I couldn't say. I understand that I can only use a PBN once for any money site to help drive it. With what then? Drives the PBN. mostly the reputation of the expired domain that we would purchase. You know, so I have to say that OMG, within the last couple of months, has completely changed their stance on purchasing expired domains for PBNs, and that's no longer a recommended practice simply because it is exceptionally difficult to tell the nature of the domain which you are purchasing, and you can end up spending a lot of money for a domain that is not going to avail you anything.
Yes. Does everybody get that memo? I just want to make sure that I'm just kind of curious. Everybody know that, because we have a lot of different videos in the members areas. Give me a 1 if you're still purchasing PBN domains at auction. And by the way, I'm not judging. I'm just trying to get a feel or a pulse on the community here so that we don't have messes to clean up.
Yeah, I know that that David Mills took Greg's video on that topic and actually put it forward.
Carol's asking people watching YouTube video. Why do we?
David put it forward in the members area so that everybody would see it. About 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago. What was that you were saying, Russ?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
So that's another do-it-your-own risk.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing going on about nothing. It looks like, are you reading these responses, Sue? A lot of people said they lost money after the fact, and some people, it looked like everybody generally knows. Is that what you're saying? Okay, good. So we're not in this, like, you guys all got the memo on that.
No, I see several people in there who didn't actually see that before, so it's good we
did not get the memo. Okay, not everybody. Okay, Carrie's like, what do you, we're not saying that you don't.
So what you use then is you get a fresh domain and you power it up using things like vCrack and then Social Explosion and using things like DAS and other such structures so that you can actually push fresh link juice to it that you can control and you can sculpt and you can make sure it isn't going to come back and burn you after the fact. Because, I mean, any domain, pretty much any domain that you're going to go buy that's got links to it has had links built to it. And the problem is you've got no control over those links that were built, and they can easily be overly optimized. And it's not until you plug it into Webmaster Tools that you realize it's got a penalty on it. It looks good. It's got domain authority. But when you plug it in, you go, oh, dang. And it will very nicely pass that penalty right onto your money site, any money site that you link off of it, right?
Yeah.
So
sometimes people even come back to us and say, well, I got this new domain and I put video cracking on it, or I put social, or whatever, any other plugin. Is it the fault of your plugins? And what happens is they didn't have the expertise. We got a whole audio series where Jimmy and Sue rant for like 2 hours on this topic. They didn't check the backlink thing, and so you're false signals. You got false flags, and
it's hard to check. It's not like
it is.
Like if I were going to do something like that, I would want Jimmy to look at it before I actually bought the domain. So it's
we don't. And there is currently not that level of training in OMG to properly backlink profile and get the fingerprint, and there really shouldn't be because it's just not even in house.
It's easier to do it from scratch. Like just do it from scratch.
And the money loss, the profitability loss, and just having to constantly check each one. So then I also know that in the OMG community there's a lot going on. Like throughout this conversation today, we said, okay, well, they're selling PBNs pre-made in OMG. So we're not. And again, Zenith has stepped in here, Sue, and said, okay, I thought that was just for the money site, not for
it's for everything.
So that being said, I can't speak to the products being sold inside OMG that are PBN. It's possible. That's not something our team's doing. I'm not going to speak to it here because I don't have I didn't get the memo on what's being sold. That being said, most of the products are supposed to be quality checked, and I can't speak to that one because I know for a fact that Jimmy didn't personally check each one of those PBNs. So, give me more information on that on Skype or whatever. I'll look at it. I didn't know. I didn't get that memo. Anything's being sold right now. Jimmy, did you know about PBNs being sold inside OMG right now?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. So is there anybody that's recently purchased a PBN system in OMG? I'm just kind of curious, so I can pick up the horn and call David, find out what's going on. Give me a one. Nope. Okay. I don't know what that was. Was it David early on? Yeah, no. Greg Oritz is independent, though. He's not. I don't think he's selling them inside of OMG, or is he selling them inside of OMG?
I would have to say Gregory is pretty good.
Yeah.
With finding PBNs, I've talked to him on the backside with some things, so he definitely has some.
So he's got some
insider information, so he does know what he's looking for. Okay. So I recommend if you are buying them, I would go through Greg.
Okay, so
Gregory.
So in your opinion, it's quite a bit better than holding a gun to your head when you buy from Gregory. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So it's more like, okay, good. That's good to know. So we got support there. Somebody said, wow, we got all kinds of people now yelling at us here. Let me see. It says Gregory O has just given away a whole lot after call. Okay, but you just got the bottom line from Jimmy. There's been some mentoring there. In fact, that's who you were talking about last night, Jimmy. Okay,
that is correct.
Yeah, okay.
I know it's hard. It's confusing because there's so many Gregs.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Jimmy spent a lot of time talking to him. Okay. So you guys are on a safer mode there. Okay. Good to know. Whew, I was going to freak out for a second. Who's selling PBNs? Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
Just signed up with OMG. Heard there's a one-on-one with Brad. Don't see any info on how to get this set up.
Welcome, Anthony.
Yeah. I have no idea either. I would...
That's not for us to answer.
No, I would drop a message around to Mike on Facebook.
Yeah.
And make sure that you do the ad site with Mike so that he sees it, and he'll come back and tell you how to hook that up.
But also, Anthony, there is better than Facebook. I'm not sure if he's wanting that. There is a email support inside your members area on the right sidebar. He's pretty good at getting back via email. If you've had a problem with him, then hit the Facebook and try to use the support channel there. And if you don't hear back from him or you go into the spam box, then you can hit him. Sorry, we can't help more with that. We just really don't have any internal. We're not admin. We're actually a channel partner. So just don't know what's going on there.
Using the WPML translates your blog into other languages. Plugin to translate my site. So it was siloed under Network Empire Silo Builder, which is URL string. Which URL string will be the best for ranking? A directory page, subdomain, parameter. Interesting. I think that this would be the one that I would stay the furthest away from.
Okay. Explain why, Sue, for people.
Because Google is going to see that's a variable, right? So Google is actually just going to see that as being your URL string. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, okay, let me back up. Google will end up seeing the whole thing as a URL string, but I shy away from URL strings that have got question marks in them as being something that I actually want to rank. And I'm assuming that if you're translating this, you want to rank it. And so I want more control over it than having question marks and long, ugly strings like that. Gotcha. So I would go, like, the interesting thing is if you go with that, if you put your foreign language on a subdomain, particularly if you put like each foreign language on its own subdomain, then that does a couple of interesting things. For one thing, let's say that you've got one that's in Spanish. So a Spanish speaker, I come to the site and the entire subdomain is in Spanish. I feel really at home. It doesn't matter what I click on that subdomain. I'm going to be in a language that I'm comfortable with. If you've got it like this where it's in a silo, that works okay too because Google can look at that and say, okay, this whole silo is in Spanish and this whole silo over here is in German, yada, yada. That's fine, but it's more likely that the person is going to click outside of that particular silo and end up in a language that they're not so comfortable with and then getting back blah, blah, blah. So
Okay.
I have to say, first of all, I'm not familiar with this particular plugin and how it works. I'm kind of going off of other plugins that I've used that translate.
I'd like to. Oh, go ahead.
One other thing that I would say about plugins that do translations, they tend to not be all that. So if you're actually looking to attract people in another native language, I'd actually look at hiring a translator and translating your pages properly, because I've done that with Spanish and a couple of other languages, and the native speakers who look at those sites they're so bored by the quality of the translation that they're like, I wouldn't buy anything from this site regardless. So
yeah, I'm
go ahead.
going to be very cautious out of respects for the WPML team. Going to let you know that there are common exploits in the language plugins, and this one was one that got me hacked. I know that's probably something I should not even have said, but this happened a year and a half. I'm sure they patched that up. But I just want to, yeah, I got hardcore, like totally screwed over. Like the shared hosting that I had this tested on was clamped me down and said, you've been completely exposed. So just, I'm sure this was, again, over a year and a half ago. So out of respect for the WML team, I just want to say I'm sure that they've got that XSS vulnerability. You can still read about it. Please be careful. Really look at that. Just make sure they don't use, there was some Google really weird vulnerability with that injection. Let's make sure that you've got that cleaned up and that you've done all the hardening WordPress. If you're going to use, I can say this, if you're going to use that, please do the hardening WordPress functional lockdown. It's a pain in the ass. Sue made me start doing it a few years back on important sites, and I was kicking and screaming, but I'm really glad that I did some of these things. So it's kind of heads up on that.
Right. So this is an interesting question from Andre. Please make a drawing that shows me how to safely link to a DAS stack without creating a footprint, but transferring the most juice. Safely link to a DAS stack. So like, I've already got something else up in eDraw. How do I do this? Hang on a second.
I was going to say, you're already linking to your DAS stack within the DAS stack.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
so at that point, you're just looking to add more PA to the specific properties because that'll channel all the way through.
Right.
So you really
better whip out your trusty pen.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm not in my house, so I don't have it handy. But, you know, really, yeah, it's kind of interesting. That's a good question for, you know, I usually go with like social signals or things like that that are also high DA, but not massive amounts. You don't have to go crazy. Like, I don't need to build 200 additional DA sites going to my DAS properties. Like, typically what I'll stay is like 50 and under. So, and I just try to do a mix of different high DA stuff that I know. So whether I use social signals, maybe a handful of additional 2.0s, maybe that's one or two good PBNs that you have. Because really, you know, if you think about how it's linking, it's kind of like a cog system, right? Because once you apply that power, it's going to turn that wheel. So this juice flows all the way through your DAS stack. So really, if you can just pick one or two of those, you know, if I hit 1 and 3 specifically on that tier 1, that's going to power up 2, 4, and 5 automatically. So that's what I would recommend. It's, you know, you're going to get your biggest push from doing contextual links to contextual links, but in very, you know, just be light with it. You don't have to do, you know, you don't need to bust out GSA, and you don't need to go hog wild on your tier 2 links. So think of contextual, and social is what I would use.
Excellent.
That's not a drawing.
I have, Mr. Kelley, in case you want to come grab I do have pad of paper, and you're missing drawing tools.
I hear him laughing out there. Oh, you got to him. It would take a minute to figure out how to set that up. I think that's why he's laughing. He's out of his element.
You know, I think he muted himself, and he's still talking on and not realizing that he's muted.
Oh, I thought he did that all the time, talk to himself.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, that would take a while to set up on this.
Yeah, we're just
I don't
messing.
have
Okay,
all
fine.
this.
Andre, I don't think you have an unreasonable request there. I will lobby. We may not do it this time, but we try to do a drawing every couple of weeks, so we'll put that
Yeah,
on.
I can bring one next time. For the next Webby, I'll bring my notebook.
Okay.
I wasn't meaning it necessarily for that question. I thought you explained it very well, but I was
Yeah.
just saying
We
that
could set it up later if we needed to.
yeah, like research tools, fairly reasonably priced, non-subscription manual method of doing this till funds grow. You know, we're going to come out with a plugin. It's not going to be like in the next 30 days because we're busy working on some Amazon tools right at the moment. But as soon as we get those Amazon tools done and dusted, the next thing that we're going to have on the list is going to be some Traffic Hospital SaaSes and plugins. And what we're basically going to do is do exactly this. We're going to go through an API so that you don't actually have to subscribe to link research tools. You can get kind of a one-off sort of a thing for your blog.
Way.
Log into Webmaster Tools, look for links. Google has indexed, run them through a bulk DA, PA, disavowing the ones below at 36 DA. Dang, that's kind of like babies in bathwater with that.
Yeah. It was good up to that point.
Because, like, it's, yeah, no.
Well, the thing there, Paula, is just that you're actually kind of telling us what the DAPA parameters, what you should do is ask what the DAPA parameters. But I like your idea. You're heading in the right direction. We'll give you the algorithm.
Competitive Amazon product.
Also may be the subject to some negative SEO. Okay.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Paul. That's not a terrible idea. It's a good idea, actually, in some ways.
It'd have to be one heck of a negative SEO attack because Amazon, by its very nature, is going to be able to absorb quite a bit of
Interestingly,
crap.
Yeah, actually, I won't say that here.
Wait, what's the question?
She's really respect.
So she's
Oh.
Respect.
This is one problem you have with ranking your stuff on third-party platforms.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you don't own Amazon, so you can't put code on there to be able to track some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
one thing I would wonder, Paula, I hope I don't get busted from you guys for asking this, but just read between the lines. Did the URL of your product change after you lost your rankings? In other words, was the old URL string on the in the Amazon database gone when you lost your rankings? And was it replaced by another completely different URL? That'd be kind of an interesting question.
yeah. So Paula's next question is good idea or not? Exact match keyword branded link EMD to homepage at the bottom of every post.
oh, Paula, did you see your questions in the chat box?
No, I didn't.
So, this is the Amazon product on my site's product page. So what I think is she put it up on her money site.
Oh.
So was it your money site page
Oh.
that tanked, Paula? Not the, okay.
I'm sorry I had that wrong, Paul. I thought your Amazon page got tanked. Okay, which is kind of more interesting if that were the case.
Can you give me your URL, Paula? The one that dropped. I just happen to be doing some work in link research tools currently, so
Aww.
I can start a report.
Aww.
Light him up. He's going to rescue you. We won't share that publicly, right?
No, I won't share it publicly.
If you want to stick that in there, Paula will help you out. We're in a good mood today.
Jess, you're so sweet, Jimmy.
Oh, there it is. Okay, good. We'll check that out. He's actually helping me with something right now.
Yeah, I was in here doing stuff for Russ anyhow, so I might as well just do it while I'm here.
I got some hate mail. Why did they do that?
All right.
Is that the one site, Paula? Is that the main URL that dropped, or just the site in general? Okay, all right, that's all I needed.
Wow. Okay. Nice, Paula. All right. Yeah.
Good idea or not? Exact match keyword, branded link, EMD to homepage at the bottom of every post. The bottom of every post on your blog? Is it like, are we talking all the same domain here? That would be my first question. If that's all the same domain, it doesn't make any difference. All that's going to do, I mean, because on your own domain, you've got a link to the home page anyway already up at the top of the page. So having another link at the bottom of the page is literally not going to really do anything for you. Does it depend at all on how many posts are on my site? No. Is there any risk of over-optimization from EMD branded links? Again, no. Now, if you're talking two different sites, so if you're talking like your blog is on a different domain, and you're linking from every single page on that domain back to your money site, Google is going to look at all of those and turn them into a single link. And there's the possibility, if they do follow, that you could be penalized for that. They could decide that it's an attempt to manipulate PageRank and penalize you for that, all the links from that site. So if it's another domain, I wouldn't do it, and if it's the same domain, it doesn't matter.
Paula, you're getting no more questions. Carl?
Right?
That's enough, girl.
She was
squeaky wheel. The squeaky wheel gets the free Jimmy consultation. Dang. All you gotta do is ask enough questions, and Jimmy will, like, recover your site. That's awesome, Paula. I'm just giving you a hard time. Actually, we do have time to answer everybody's questions, including people I'm just messing with you.
So there are many themes in the silo builders. The silo builders do not work on.
No, some. I don't know about many. It
depends on what the theme is trying to do. If the theme really wants to control a lot of stuff, then the silo builder is not going to work on it. But so long as it's got relatively standard menu and a sidebar, it should work fine.
If it's modified,
I would say like on 80%, between 80 and 90% of the themes that we tried it on, it worked okay. I do know that Raz had to jump through a little bit of a hoop on about maybe another 10% of the sites. So let's say that 80% of the sites it'll work fine right out of the box, and then about another 10% he had to jump through a bit of a hoop to get it to work. But he's not our most technically expertise person, so I felt like if he could get it to work, his forte is SEO, not fiddling around with PHP. So I felt like if he could get it to work fairly easily, that most people could get it to work. However, if he had to jump through a hoop, it didn't go on our recommended page, right? It went on the second page. So if the silos have already been created on the site using a theme that works, we'll switching it over to a new theme after siloing the site, break it or blow up or bring the site to its knees or other bad stuff. It should not. No. The only thing that's going to happen is the menus won't display properly if it's not working on that new theme, and switching it off to another theme will just fix that. So it's all just a display thing. The only thing that plugin is really doing is it's creating the linking structure. It puts in a couple of extra fields, and they're named in such a way that I can't imagine they're going to interfere with anything else, and then it just uses those to figure out how the menu structure should link up. What were we going to say, Russ? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm just saying that looks like our new releases are coming out pretty soon.
Yes!
Like, I know we've been saying that for a while, but this time
no, we're really close.
Mm.
All right. The various silo builders, do they have to remain active or key? You can use them and then deactivate them. Obviously, when you deactivate them, you won't have a silo structure anymore.
Poof.
Also, which silo builders can we use on an existing domain without deleting pages, categories? So you don't have to delete pages and categories. It just
Won't silo them.
It won't silo them. Now, the new plugins that are coming out, you've got the ability to actually take existing pages and posts and create a silo structure or add them to a silo structure. So they're much more versatile than they had been before.
Is that true on both Deep and, this is a question I have.
All three, yes.
Wow. So it'll do like what Video Crack and Simple Silo does. It'll just say, would you like to stuff these under this?
It doesn't, no, it doesn't do it automatically for you the way that it'll do it for the vCracken plugin with Simple Silo. But
Nice.
You can go in and you can edit each page, and in the upper right-hand corner, it will allow you to add that page to the silo structure. The old version will let you do it with posts, but it wouldn't let you do it with pages. The new version will let you do it with pages too.
So the bottom line is with pages and posts, you can add anything you want, and you can then start building silos, even if you have a pre-existing site.
Yes. So the only...
Can we get an hallelujah and an amen up in here from all y'all? Give me a one. Everybody on their feet. Hallelujah. Can I get a witness up in here?
The only downside...
Amen.
The only downside on that is that it can potentially change your URL string.
Right.
And so, you know, you might want to think about that with...
Uh-oh, Jimmy's blasting music in the living room.
You might want to think about that with 301 redirects. All right.
You mean we didn't install an automatic redirector for them inside the plugin? Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Steve. That's great. Light them up.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula.
Okay.
Do social...
Paula, no more for Paula. Paula, we're going to have to cut you off.
but then she keeps saying nice things around.
I'm asking her some questions.
Okay. Good. I'm going to get her back on this one.
All right. Do social accounts... This is from Carl. No more Paula questions. This is Carl. Do social accounts get deleted when I create social profiles for my business and my business name instead of my human name? Do social accounts get deleted? You know, I'm going to say that probably depends on the platform.
Oh, it is. It is a platform-by-platform issue. In fact, Google doesn't like it at all, as you will notice when you change your name to a business after you've already had a name. It's highly unlikely that your last name is LLC.
What? It is. Honest.
We have never heard of anybody called SEO Ranker. That's a very unusual first name, Mr. SEO, Mr. Ranker. You know, so they don't like it. Depending upon the platform, you're going to really need to. Here's the weird thing. Jimmy and I were talking about engagement rank. Sue and I were also talking about things related to this. One of the things that we like to do for social profiles, and I realize that there are variables here, and is that for some reason when you're a smiling face and when you're a person, you just attract more engagement rank than a business does. Wow, where's Sue going? And so the more human you become, the more you tend to get clicks and interaction. There's just more traffic and general interaction. When you name something like a business, there's a lot of evidence that I've seen over the last couple of years that you just get a lot less interaction. And that's completely fine. For example, when you take a biz page, like in Google+, and you know you're going to automate that biz page, and you know you're going to, I don't know, purchase followers or circles or these types of things. You're going to mess around with it, and you're doing it mostly for SEO purposes, or you're doing it for a local business ranking. Those are variables that are different than this, because Google+ then becomes unique. But for the most part, you get more engagement rank when you humanize your profiles. It's just this funny thing that photographs and human beings are click magnets compared to corporations. Now, things change if you're a huge brand. Like Twitter offers multi Twitter accounts tied to brands. They offer an enterprise version. I don't know if even you guys even knew that. You can get like Twitter streams for corporate events with multiple users. So there's all these types of things. So the answer, I hope the question behind your question, Brian, is the general answer is that humanization tends to get you more clicks, traffic, and engagement, and therefore more pings, and sometimes rankings, and even more power by default. So this is just something I've noticed over a great deal of time. People are not attracted to a corporate logo and a Twitter profile. Just consider that type of stuff.
Yeah. All right, so Brian asks, how can we use DAS to rank an Amazon page? Pretty much it's the same thing as using DAS to rank any page, right? You can create your DAS stack and you link it to your Amazon page.
New software coming.
Right.
Excited. We have a surprise for you, Brian.
George asks, with Google's announcement about mobile-friendly rankings improving on April 21st, do you advise not to use the Google mobile test site as it might tip Google to non-more? No, I completely, I saw this question come through actually when you asked it, and it's a really important question, and Google's going to test your site anyway, one way or the other. So running it through the mobile test site tool is not going to actually tip your hands. It's intended to tell you whether or not your site's going to pass the test.
Yeah, like, are you an idiot or not?
Yeah, use it. Like,
you have a
use
non-responsive theme. Yeah.
Right, and if it's not responsive, I would seriously think about getting a responsive theme.
Yeah, totally. And
yeah.
And I've been criticized on many occasions for that. Also, it's not really required to do a mobile sitemap anymore either. I mean, I was having some results with those, and they're not really necessary at this point. If you have a responsive theme, you don't need to get into that dichotomy or that split personality where you've got, okay, here's a sitemap for mobile, and here's a sitemap that's regular. It's everything kind of caught up in the infrastructure now.
Mr. Matt Cutts is on our webinar again today, and he asks, in the webinar where we were talking about using Social Explosion for Amazon, since you can enter an Amazon ID to get social signals, why can't you do something similar for HTML sites? Or have you done that already? I would buy that in a heartbeat. All right. Well, Matt, since I want your money. No. I haven't done that yet. Jimmy has also been bugging me about that for, I don't know, pretty much since we launched the tool.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who we did the disavow to for?
I can tell you. Wasn't it Paula?
You remember that one, the one OMG Webby?
Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
Has he checked his rankings on that lately?
I don't know if Orlando's even here.
Oh.
Orlando is here.
We'll only talk about it if he says something good.
Well, no,
how's things going,
continue with what you're doing.
All right, good.
I was just wondering who that was.
What's going on?
So, Matt, yeah, that's going to come shortly, honest. Because otherwise I think Jimmy will. I don't know. He might do things to me. He might like disavow my site or blacklist my sites or something. All right. So Lewis asks, is there a good tool to submit German RSS directories? I would submit them.
Oh no, it's there.
I wouldn't actually discriminate between German RSS directories and the rest.
You can totally see it. Sorry. He's back on page 1 for his keyword.
Well, yeah.
Beautiful.
So, in case he missed the Webby, he's sitting at, he's a little lower probably than where he was, but he's sitting at number 6.
Orlando, shameless plug. I think you owe us a nice, big, fat, juicy testimonial. I'm just saying. You can,
or at least a beer.
Yeah, well, I'll take both, actually. You can go ahead and email that testimonial to me.
I thought you were going to say email
well, the beer, too. You can FTP the beer. You can send that to me at russell@themeteam.com. I'll put it on Jimmy's page, okay? Jimmy Kelley. Appreciate that. Oh, he's not. He's like, I'll give you the beers. I'm not giving you a testimonial. Okay, Jimmy, put everything back where it was. Just kidding, man.
That's it. Let me fire up my negative SEO. Just kidding.
Orlando, I won't use your name and I won't link to your site, I promise. Just a little comment would be great. I'll leave you off there. I promise I'll leave you off. Okay. Lewis?
Hang on, 2 shakes of lime still.
Okay. I'm just messing with you, bro.
I would never ignore you, Jazz.
But she's always talking, so it's kind of hard not to sometimes. Jazz, you're always talking. It's okay. It's okay.
All right. So, Lou's question about submitting RSS directories or submitting your RSS. So I wouldn't. I don't think, in my mind, when I think RSS directory, I don't some dis word that just went out of my head. I wouldn't look for a directory that's just got German RSS feeds. The very nature of the directories is that they're search-based, so all you'd have to do is search for a German word, and everything that's appropriate is going to pop up. So I would just submit to directories in general, and just know that the language is going to sort itself out on the backside. There's probably going to be a few of them that don't take special characters, but in terms of in their search box, a few backwards ones, but pretty much everybody these days have got decent language libraries, so I wouldn't worry about it. Andre, could you please make a model or explain in the webinar how to set up social media accounts in Social Explosion? I've checked everything 3 times, seems to have missed something because only Twitter is working. Pinterest, Digo, and Delicious don't seem to be working. Fascinating. I still have my thingy up. Social Explosion. So if I come in here, what you're talking about is how to set this up, right? So you put in, you go and you create your Pinterest account. You switch this to enabled. You put in your Pinterest username, your Pinterest password, and your board ID. Now, you have to jump through a hoop to get the board ID. And Mike Hayden wrote a little script that I need to put up, and then you'll be able to get your board ID much easier and quicker. I'll have that put up somewhere in the next week. Let me just put down a reminder here that script for board ID announcement. The rest of them, I don't think. Oh, and then the API key. Oh, I see. I forget about this unless I actually look at the screen. So Delicious shouldn't be any big deal at all. You should just put those 2 things in and work. So Digo would be the only other thing about getting an API key. Russ, don't we have that in the documentation for how to get the API key? Clearly, he stepped away from the computer for a second. Let me just go take a quick look over here on Neuro.
She's asking for you, man. He's standing right here. He's standing right here.
No, I'm asking for you, Russ.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that was me, bro. I'm sorry. Get in the other room and stop distracting me. Give me another beer. I'm just messing with you. Okay.
No beer until after the webinar.
Okay, whoops.
Sorry.
All right.
Oh, okay, fine.
Well, we were actually just talking about...
You guys always know when to call me on when I'm not.
I wasn't calling you. It was not you. I was looking for Russ.
We were actually just talking about how you might want to bring Orlando on and talk about his recovery live, like audio.
Okay.
Because he's got some pretty amazing.
We're almost through the questions. Can I please? You know how I stress big.
What was that question? There's a testimonial and that's like squirrel. I'm done.
Right. Social Explosion. No, I'll get there eventually, all on my own. It's fine.
No, I want to know. I want to know.
It's fine.
Please let me know.
No.
Why are you on the page that you said you hated this morning?
Because I'm looking for how to set up Digo accounts.
Oh.
How to get the thingy for the Digo account so that they can.
Oh no, that's going to be go to.
Here, how do you get the API key for your Digo account?
Oh yeah, that is on that page. Digo API.
It's not on this page. That's just
Really?
sad. It's got to be embedded in a video.
No, there is.
Somewhere.
There's a video. There's a video on how to do Digo. It is on that page. That page has just gotten so huge that we really need to.
Twitter API. I'm sure Digo API is on here too.
That Twitter API should go away. I'll find that forum while you're doing other things. How's
Okay,
that?
good. That would
Yeah,
be
that'd be
awesome.
Okay.
All right. That was Andre.
Okay, Andre, I'm going to actually drop it to everybody.
Cool. So what he was actually asking about is he wants to know how to get all of the social accounts working. But I told him, which I think you were probably busy talking to Jimmy at the time, I told him that Mike Hayden wrote us a Pinterest script, and I'll get that up. So Pinterest will get working. I'll probably, you know what I'll probably do is on the same wiki page, we'll have the link and the video and everything, and I'll still drop you a very specific link to that part of the page so that you don't have to dig. We'll make it easy for you guys. All right.
I thought there was a link directly how to get there to go inside the plugin. If not, we really need to add that.
Oh, maybe it is. You know, maybe I just didn't read the page far enough. No, it's not here. We should add that.
Yep, I'll put it on the settings area.
Yep, that would be a great place.
Yep.
That would be a great place for the Pinterest thing. Should be a link there too. All right.
Yeah, it's not hard. Actually, by the way, the Pinterest link to automatically find the board, that's already submitted in the software, the Agile software. I mean, we know that's on the list.
Okay, good. All right, good. Paula.
Nope, next person.
No, don't be mean. Did you see the last time you said something about Paula's questions? Jazz and Heidi and everybody came to her rescue and said she asked great questions and you shouldn't be so mean.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is the single feed only issue with Social Explosion fixed yet?
See, and she always exposes these little nuances.
It is fixed, and it is fixed, and I don't have the fix up yet. It's my fault. I'm sorry. You know, and Jimmy's in town, and so it's probably not going to happen till the weekend.
You're always blaming him for everything.
Well, it's so easy to blame. And besides, he blames me for everything anyway. So.
That's why I like to have him around, because then I don't have to take all of the slack. I don't. I don't have to. All of it.
All right. So, next Paula question: LiveJournal suspended our Money Site Web 2.0 account.
14 questions for Paula.
Oh no! The only
ouch.
way we were using Live was through this Pro version plugin. Well, that's not my plugin.
Wait a second.
They say the suspension is permanent, so we've stopped using that plugin. Is that an overreaction or the other properties likely to follow suit? Okay, so let me just think about this all the way through. LiveJournal suspended your Money Site Web 2.0 account. The only way that you're posting to LiveJournal was through Snap. Fascinating. Let me see what they say. I have an idea what they're going to say, but let me just look at the page anyway.
Well, you know, the thing is that it's how it posts. A lot of these automatic social things have to be really careful how they do it. And I never really looked at the...
Your account was suspended because... Oh, sorry, you're so quiet, Russ. I can hardly hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm just doing a query to see if we can find any information.
So what they said was your account was suspended because it is our determination that it existed solely to post material for search engine optimization, which we consider to be spam.
Mm-hmm. I'm offended that they would even suggest such a thing.
Right.
Let me look here.
One thing is, you know, with a lot of accounts, and I know this happens on Weebly quite a bit too, sometimes you get if you create a brand new account and then you put up a page with a link going out right away, even if it's really top quality content, sometimes they come through and just shut it down because they think it's just the aged accounts, you can get away more with putting up links right away and backlinking to it. So sometimes I'll just get up and put on a post or two with no links, just basic information, and then I usually wait like a week or two, and then I go back and I start incorporating the other pages I want to use for the actual link building. Because initially, when you have a new account and you start putting up content, some of these third-party platforms, you'll have an admin from that site that comes around and just double checks what's going on with some of these new accounts.
Good.
And you could probably see that is kind of obvious because they're trying to keep their platform in good standing with Google as well. So just keep that in mind when you're building.
I suppose. Yeah, I agree, Jimmy. I also suppose that it's possible that LiveJournal has an IP checker. They're looking for auto logins, and that occasionally does happen, where they get a little bit strict on what they allow for multiple logins and these types of things. I doubt that, but it could be the case, and in that case, blaming the plugin could make sense. But I would stick more with what Jimmy's saying on this one.
Oh, so Michael's got a great question, because that's not actually as backwards as you might think it is. A new notepad file. So what he's done is he's got site, and he's got silo 1. Let's do it this way. And then silo 2. We'll just keep it simple, 2 silos. And the silos are underneath. And then the blog links to the pages in the silo instead of being located under tier 3. So then over here, he's got blog, and he's got article 1, article 2, article 3. And in article 1, wait. No, back. In article 1, there might be a link over to silo 1. Am I right? I got that right, Michael? And that's actually fine, because the idea is that in your blog articles should be newsy type articles, right? So you do a lot of blog articles, and within those blog posts you link back to either your silo, or if you have supporting articles underneath your silos, it can link to that too. So long as these are news, that's perfect. If instead what you've done in your blog is you've got evergreen supporting articles, so in other words, what I mean by evergreen is an article that isn't just newsy, but actually something that you would want to be a static part of your site that's there for forever, then I would probably rewrite those articles as supporting content underneath your silos. So what his question is, can I rebuild this to correspond to the silo builder? If so, can I use the silo builder? And what harm, if any, I'm going to keep the URLs the same, just in a different position in the site architecture. All right, so this is a multifaceted thing. Rebuilding is basically what I talked about here, right? Where you grab article 1 and you rewrite that bad boy and you stick it here underneath, right? So that's option 1. That's completely acceptable. Rebuild. If so, can I use a silo builder? You can use a silo builder if it's all on the same blog, and it's not. Most of the time when somebody says that they've got a blog on the same site as their, oh, I see what you've done. So you've got I see what you've done. You've got some static pages, and then you've just got blog articles. Yes, you could use the silo builder to do that. Would I harm any of the rankings if I keep the URL the same? You can't keep the URL the same if you're going to use the silo builder. It's going to change the URL because it builds a silo, and part of the silo that we build includes the URL. So you would want to do 301s in that case. Also, a silo site, there's a kind of a silo site which is called a virtual silo site. In other words, it's created just by the linking structure and not also with the URLs, and I don't find those to be nearly as effective. Part of it is because it doesn't have the keyword in the URL string, which is important. Like, it's really pretty important. But the other thing is, by having the same root of the URL string in those supporting pages, Google seems to give that extra kudos as well, because it's really obvious that that page is supporting that, the silo landing page. So in my tests with simply a virtual linking structure, it was not nearly as impressive. So you're going to lose a lot of oomph if you try to maintain your original URL structure. All right. Scott has a question about passing juice through a domain via a redirect. Picked up a domain that belonged to telecom that has one fantastic link going to a subdomain. That link is from a major news outlet, and it's a do follow link. Currently passes trust flow of 34 from the URL into the domain that you bought. PIDA of the subdomain is 23.8, if that makes a difference. Page authority, domain authority of the subdomain. All right. I'd like to make the most of this trust if doing a redirect would be the best. Or place it back at T2 and redirect the juice through another do follow Web 2.0. Place it so to move the entire site back to a tier 2, to basically like the concept of a PBN, and redirect the juice through another do follow Web 2.0. And when doing this, will a 301 squeeze the most? So here's the thing. By having it be a tier 2, let me just see this a second. Make the most out of this trust. If doing a redirect, would it be best to redirect it to my money site or place it back T2 and redirect through another do follow Web 2.0? So the difference here, I want my trusty dusty little thingy-dingy again. Let's blow this away. This is what we were talking about earlier. I'm just looking to see if I still have that. I don't see it. All right, so let me look back 2 more. What was that one? Not that one. Not that one. Okay, I don't have it. So you've got Cool Site, the one that you bought, coolsite.com. That's got all the that's got the link from the news site. And so your question is, should this link right straight to my money site? Or should I say coolsite.com linking to a third-party platform? Oops. Linking to a third-party platform, socialsite.com, and then with a do follow link to my money site. So I just want to say, this is what Jimmy said earlier, every time you make a hop, you're losing a percentage of the link juice, right? So here you're making 1 hop, here you're making 2 hops. So this is going to result in more of a loss in link juice than this one will. So with that said, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. I'd like to make the most of the trust. If doing a redirect, would it be best to redirect it to my money site or to place it back at tier 2 and redirect through a Web 2.0 property? And when doing this, will a 301 squeeze the most trust out of it, or is there a better way to do it? Yeah, so you could just put up on coolsite.com, it's got the link that comes into a subdomain. So what I would probably do is do something with that subdomain, right? So that the domain keeps all of the trust that it's got, and then on another subdomain or on the main subdomain or however you want to do that, you write an article that's relevant to your money site. Personally, I'd write at least 3 articles that's relevant to your money site and link them all together in a silo. And then from one of those articles, I would link from Cool Site directly to the money site with a do follow link, right? That's standard PBN practice. And that is going to be the thing that is going to pass. Just think about that for a nanosecond. If that's the only link that's coming out of that site, that's going to be the thing that's going to pass the most juice. Your other option that you're talking about is 301ing the entire site. So instead of a link, you're talking about doing a 301 to your money site. You could do that too. Here's the only reason why I don't like the 301 is the context that's on your news site is probably radically different from the context that's on your money site. So my inclination would be to take this to, let's say that the original subdomain was something like news.coolsite.com. Whatever the inbound link is from your news site, I would write an article that goes along with that. So let's say that it's about dogs, dog training. I would make news.coolsite.com about dog training then. I'd put up 2 or 3 articles that really support whatever that inbound link is. And then off of like www.coolsite.com, I'd have whatever your money site is about. And then link from the www subdomain over to your money site. That's like, that keeps all of the themes. So like as Google looks back through your inbound links, it keeps all of your thematic relevance valid. And so then it's going to pass the trust without having to worry about stuff. If you 301 it, it's going to be obvious that the theme doesn't match. It's still going to pass the link juice. Is that going to be evergreen? I don't know. Like, is Google at some point in time going to say, hey, well, people are 301ing stuff that, from old sites. Like, look at what a 301 is. It's a redirect. It says this content is no longer here. It's over there. And if Google looks at what the inbound link was about, which was dog training, now it's going to red shoes, then it's going to say, well, that's not actually a 301 because this was about dog training. So at some point, which is not the case right now, but at some point they could say, if they're nice about it, they'll just say, we're not going to pass that link juice anymore. And if they want to get rude about it, they'll penalize for it. It all depends on how much abuse 301s get. So that's my 2 cents about where we are now and where things are going. Do you want to add anything to that, Mr. Kelley?
No.
Okay. Jimmy's answer about using English text to rank a foreign language site was based on a link/info in a chat box, but the chat box was not in the replay. Oh my goodness. Do you remember what that was, and can you briefly explain it?
Are we going to?
I don't know. If you don't remember, then that's cool. We can just go on and talk about we were going to bring somebody live. Orlando?
I can probably... I'll go find that link again if they want to read about it. But going through it would be probably not as advantageous for the group.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. so we can get back to Michael on that. We do usually post the links in the video, Jazz, but every twice in a while something's in a chat box, and I don't always grab the chat boxes. So clearly that was one of those times where I just grabbed what I had in notepads and not what I had in the chat boxes.
I put that in there for them if they want to go click on it.
Okay, great. I don't think that's what he was talking about. He was talking about a previous English.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he was. I know that's what he's asking about.
Okay, because this question would have been asked like the 6th.
There's got to be some benefit to being on the webinar.
True.
So I think they shouldn't get all the links at the end of the video.
You guys show up. All right. So, did you talk to Orlando? Do you want to bring him live for a few minutes? We're at the top of the 2-hour mark. Right? Humor and entertainment. Jazz, what more do people want? We even hand out the occasional beer, but for that you got to be live.
Orlando, would you like to come on and talk a little bit about this scenario?
He says, let's do it.
Okay, excellent, because I know that he does have a mic.
All right. Okay. So let me find him. MNO. One of these days I will actually learn the alphabet. I watched Sesame Street to try and help me with that. All right, Orlando, can you hear us?
Yeah. How you doing, guys? Hello?
Excellent. Thank
Good.
you.
How are you doing?
Good. Doing great.
So do you want to give us a background on kind of what happened? I don't remember when we even worked on the Disavow Live. I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, right?
Yeah, I think about 3 weeks ago. And I've missed a couple of the Webbies in the past, so I didn't get a chance to say anything. But yeah, what you showed us and the fact that it's on video is incredible, because I actually had someone from OMG taking care of my disavowing. And what you went through was somewhat more specific than what I've seen. So it is really, really an incredible value what you just gave us. It's unbelievable. And the rankings did improve. And after it improved, I started playing around with title changes that I wanted to make and some optimization on keywords that I had. So it's kind of bouncing around now, but definitely the disavowing did work. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a few keywords on there. I know I saw you were at #1 for one of them again, and
yeah,
#6 on the other one, so it looks like it responded very well.
Yeah, and there were some that were on page 2. They're bouncing, to page 1 now, so it is definitely doing well.
Would you say, so to squash a meme that's out there in the SEO land, would you say that disavow does nothing, or that it does something?
No, I think disavow does a lot. And like I said, I had someone that was doing it, and how you did it was totally different and a lot better. So it definitely works. You got to do the the disavow to get rid of those bad links. And like you said, it takes sometimes a couple of days or maybe even a couple of weeks before you see movement, but you definitely do. The one thing that I didn't do before, that I was never told to do, was to recrawl the links, which you told us to, and that I think makes a big difference.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing that people overlook, when they, so like even look at some of the old days of when, we put out a link somewhere on like a forum link of all things, say that's what you're using to, not in your case, but just in general. We use a forum link that doesn't have enough content. There's like just one link going to the website, and then we feed it to an indexing service to force Google to find it. So in reality, Google, if we left it alone, might not ever find that link on its own naturally anyway. So when we do a disavow, we have to force, since we disavow and say we don't want any credit for this link, please don't penalize us for it. You know, in my mind it changed it to no follow, and then when we go and force that URL back to Google, so force Google to go back to it, I think it connects up the dots, and that's when you see the reaction typically from using the disavow. So it's really cool. I'm happy that you got your rankings back and they're improving. So that's awesome.
Yeah, the rankings changed, you know, basically within 5 to 6 days, to tell you the truth. It didn't take long at all.
Yeah, you're usually looking at about a 7-day time frame. I've seen some of them quicker, but it really depends, I think, on how many and how quick they get reindexed. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
so congratulations.
I appreciate it. Gosh, you gave us a gold mine here. It's awesome.
So I appreciate you coming on and sharing that. It's you know, typically we don't have. I don't think I've ever done one of those actually live before, where we go through the entire disavow. And hopefully the people that's pulled a few bits of knowledge out of that along the way.
No, absolutely, and actually on the, you know, I didn't want to write in the Facebook group because the OMGer that was helping me is on there, so I didn't want to just, you know, write it and have him get mad or anything. So, but no, I definitely appreciate what you did, and you gave everybody, you know, great over-the-shoulder view of how to do it exactly.
It's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Orlando. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Just let me know when you want some beers.
I will do.
Excellent. All right, so we're well over the top of the second hour, so I think we can wrap that for this week.
You're muted, Sue. I think.
No, I don't think so. It says I'm not. I think it's just a... Oh, my audio connection has been lost. Will you close the Webby and turn it off?